This video is brought to you by dankritual.com. If you use the promo code DREW10 at checkout, you can get 10% off of your order of the tan or green 2-player cloth playmats. Get your playmat today.
What is up, everybody? It is Drew, Traveler of the Burning Abyss, here with another video, and today I'm doing something that was pretty highly requested after doing the last Burning Abyss deck profile and the feature match commentary that I did as well. And the thing that I saw a lot of is that people were curious as to how a trap Burning Abyss list would look. And I'm not gonna lie, I think the hand trap version is better. But because I had so many people who are like, oh man, like how would the trap build work? I decided to put it together, and I'm going to show you that product today. So as you saw in the beginning of the video, we are sponsored by dankritual.com. Go to their website, buy the mat, use the promo code DREW10 at checkout on that tan or green cloth playmat, and you'll save 10% on your order, as well as support my channel directly, which is obviously a huge bonus. And obviously, if you guys are not subscribed already, go ahead and smash that subscribe button, turn notification bell on so you know when I upload cool and awesome content just like this video you're watching right now, and give the video a thumbs up because you all know that it makes me feel good. But without further ado, we will hop right on into the trap Burning Abyss build. Okay, so we're going to start with the monsters, and not much is different from the hand trap variation with the monsters. For the 3 ofs, we still have 3 Graph, 3 Seer, and 3 Skarm. I'm really back on 3 Seer. I think that 3 Seer is actually really important. Helps you grind a lot better. So yes, you can add the Seer back off of Dante, but like if you open 1 in your opening hand and then you mill 2, it's like, okay, now I have to add it back off of Dante and I can't summon it any other way. So me personally, I think 3 Seer is the way to go. I think it works really well. I haven't had any issues with it bricking. It's just really good. Like, honestly, it's super strong. The Graph, we all know that's just a mandatory 3 of no matter what. And as for the 3 Skarm, I think it helps in the grind game as well because you're able to search out more resources, which to me is really important. I want to be able to grab whatever cards I need to follow up. So those are the 3 ofs. We only play 1 2 of, and that is double Farfa. So double Farfa, I think, is just like standard. I don't think 1 is enough, but I think 3 is too much. So we're keeping it at 2. Then the 1 ofs, we have the 1 Barbar, the 1 Calcab, the 1 Libic, and the 1 Alec. The big difference in the Burning Abyss lineup is really just Alec going down to 1 from 2. I think this card is very powerful in the hand trap version. In this variation, you could play 1. I mean, it's only a difference of 1, but still, like, it comes up. As for the other 1 ofs, I don't think I really have to explain. They're just good cards. And their other names, which is also important. Then our honorary Burning Abyss cards, we have 3 copies of Rhino Warrior and 2 copies of Tour Guide. No need to play 3 Tour Guide. I've gone over that a million times. You're going to get hand trapped this format, so you might as well just play 2 and use it on a following turn rather than your first turn. The Rhino is just another BA, which is pretty sweet. So, and oh, one thing that's actually pretty important here, especially with Rhino, is that a lot of people have opted to cut down on Valor and Imperm. So we're seeing a lot of Bells and Ogres and Ashes. So you don't have to worry as much about this getting hit with Valor or Imperm. So that's actually pretty important to note. In the last 2 monsters, we play 1 copy of Fairy Tale Snow and 1 copy of Absolute King Backjack. Fairy Tale Snow doesn't need an explanation. Card is just busted. Like, it's such a good card. And then the Backjack, we're playing the trap variation, so this is just kind of a mandatory 1 of. I don't like to play more than 1 because then you start to draw it and you do not want to draw the card at all. Like, it's just bad to draw. But those are all the monsters. Moving on to the spells. We have 3 copies of Forbidden Droplet and 1 copy of Foolish Burial. So these are the only spells that we're playing in this variation. And the Droplet is essentially our going second card. I think that it's just super strong against a lot of matchups. You can just shut your opponent's board off, and that to me is like really, really important. So Droplet definitely is something that you want to consider playing. And then the Foolish is an extender or a starter depending on your opening hand. Or it helps wrap up your combo. There are times where I'll open combo and I'll be like, all right, well, I want Snow and Backjack Engrave. So I'll dump whatever one I know I'm going to be missing and be able to have everything set up. So that's pretty cool. Moving on to the traps though, we have 3 copies of Torrential Tribute. This deck does not get hurt whatsoever by Torrential. You can play 3 Torrential and it's not going to harm you at all. You could flip this card multiple times per turn and it'll just benefit you in the long run. You can summon back your Dante with the Seer, add the Seer back to the hand off of Dante, so on and so forth, and just keep looping over and over and over again. So Torrential to me is kind of just it's a no-brainer. Like, this card is just super, super sweet. So if you're not playing Torrential in this deck, you definitely should for the trap variation. Then we have 3 copies of Dino-Miscus and 2 copies of Karma Cut for our discard traps. I'm sorry, not spells. So I think that these are pretty solid. The Karma Cut is kind of nice because it banishes your opponent's copies from their graveyard. Now, this doesn't come up as often as you'd think because, like, it's going to be good against certain decks, but the Branded Despia deck, they can fusion from their banished, so doesn't come up as much against that, but still at the same time, it is a piece of spot removal, and if you play against some other decks that get a lot of the same card engrave, especially Eldritch, you get rid of multiple Golden Lords, your opponent just loses the game, so Karma Cut's really good. Keep in mind it's only monsters though, whereas Dino-Miscus is any face-up card, which is the reason that I am playing 3 Dino-Miscus and 2 Karma Cut, because I feel that this card is more important, just because you can hit whatever you want to hit rather than only being able to hit a monster. So those are my reasonings for those. And then the 2 ofs, we have 2 Breakthrough and 2 Fiend Griefing. So I think that both of these are pretty great cards. The Breakthrough is nice because, like, against certain decks, your opponent is not going to expect you to banish Breakthrough if, like, they don't remember what Breakthrough does. Like, you just go ahead and you banish it from your grave and then you negate one of their cards during your main phase. Like, that's actually pretty strong. Obviously, just having it as a monster negation in your back row is also strong too, but I think Breakthrough does have that surprise factor, and you could either do it in response to something that your opponent does, or you could do it preemptively. That's kind of the nice thing about it, especially, you know, like I said, with the graveyard effect. Then the Fiend Griefing, I just think this card is so good all the time. I wanted to play 3 of it, but the problem was I didn't have anything that I really wanted to take out because I'm keeping the list at 40. So I just went with 2. I think 2 is okay. If you wanted to do something like different, I mean, I guess you could pop out the 2 Breakthroughs, put in a 3rd Fiend Griefing, and maybe play like Called by the Grave. But that's, I don't know. I think Call by the Grave isn't as helpful in trap decks, and this is definitely a more trap-centered deck. But those are our 2 ofs. And then we do technically have another 2 of, but it's 2 copies of Trap Trick. I just consider this to be every trap card in the deck, so when I think of 2 ofs, I don't really see this as a 2 of, I just see it as an everything. It gets you whatever trap you're missing, whatever trap you need, and definitely will pull you out of some sticky situations. So the double Trap Trick, fully worth it. That is, however, the end of the main deck, so we're going to go ahead and hop on over to the extra deck, which if you have if you've seen my recent extra decks, it's not very different. There's 1 card that I changed up, that I discussed the possibility of changing up, so we'll go ahead and jump on over and take a look. All right, so extra deck time. As I said before, a lot of the extra deck is the same as for what it's been recently. So 2 Dante, 1 Beatrice, and 1 purple Dante. This is standard. I don't think anything here really needs to be changed. It just works the way that it works. You never really need a 3rd Dante. 2 is perfectly fine. The 1 Beatrice is limited, so it doesn't even matter. You can't play more if you wanted to. And then the purple Dante, anytime you get to summon this card, you pretty much just win the game. Like, it's just that good. Then the other XYZ cards, the Fortune Tune, the 2 copies of Downard, and the 2 copies of Zeus. I think that this is Actually really, really strong. I won't change this. Like, people are like, oh my god, like you're playing 2 Zeus and 2 Downer, isn't that kind of excessive? No, it's not. It's not excessive at all. Like, you're going to be able to do this multiple times in a tournament. There are so many times where I make a second Zeus, and I'm so glad that I have 2 Zeus. So if you have the access to 2 Zeus and 2 Downer, 100% play it. Like, 100, I cannot preach this enough. Like, the card wins games. Your opponent just will sit there and scoop. They'll just scoop because you wipe their board. So I think that's a really good 5-card engine there. And then the links, playing 1 Cherubini and 1 Masquerena for the Link 2s that everybody knew I was already playing. And this is the new card that we're playing. I'm playing 1 copy of Dark. So what I ended up doing is I ended up taking out the Appaloosa and putting in a copy of Dark. I cannot stress this enough. I tried the Appaloosa. I really tried it. And there was only one scenario in which Appaloosa would have come up, and it was if you open up Seer with another random BA. And I never had that scenario come up. I never thought it was useful. I thought Appaloosa was honestly the most useless card in my extra deck, and I removed it because of that, and I put in place Dark because so many people are on Dark-based decks, and your Burning Abyss deck is Dark, so you just use 2 BAs to make this, and then you can actually just play the game and take your opponent's cards, and you can link climb, and that to me is a lot more important than an Appaloosa. Being able to combo off of my opponent is a lot stronger. As for the Cherubini and the IP, I think these are pretty well known as to why I'm playing them. The Cherubini also helps you link climb, so this is really important alongside the Dark. So please, keep in mind that these 2 combo together is fantastic. And then the IP, that's just your turn 1 setup. No Verte, because we don't want to play bricks in this deck or try and mill a brick. Like, that just isn't good. So yeah, we have those for our Link 2s. Then we have the Nightmare package, technically another Link 2. We have a Phoenix and a Unicorn. I think that these are fantastic cards. This is one of the decks that you'll end up actually like co-linking these a bunch and getting their effects to go off in tandem with each other. Like, it's actually really, really sweet. The draws are amazing, like really amazing, being able to draw and remove cards from the board. So the Unicorn usually comes out off of your IP, so that's obviously really strong. You just get to shuffle one of your opponent's cards on their turn, which to me is absolutely fantastic. So yeah, we got to play the Nightmare package. And then the only Link 4 that we play is the 1 access code. When I played in the tournament a few weeks back, I didn't even make this like once. Every single game was pretty much won by Zeus. Like, that's like, honestly, Zeus is the best card in the extra deck outside of Dante, because we know that Dante's our homeboy. But this card didn't even get made, so it's like, okay, like, the card is good, but it's not coming up often, if at all. So we just stick with our standard game plan, make that Zeus, wipe our opponent's board, and watch them cry. That to me has been very successful. So that is the extra deck, though. We're gonna hop on over to the side deck and take a look at that, and I'll have a little disclaimer at the start of the side deck, so make sure you go ahead and listen to that before you jump through the side deck. All right, so here's our disclaimer. So I've been struggling very, very hard with trying to figure out a good side deck for this variation of Burning Abyss. This is one of the other reasons why I prefer the hand trap variation. I feel that the side deck is just really difficult to work because there are so many cards that I would like to side in, and it's easier to side with the hand trap version than it is with the trap version. That's just my personal perspective. So before you look at this and you're like, I want to put this and I want to put that in, my answer is go for it. If you want to pull something out and put something else in, go for it. This is like 100% experimental. I honestly don't even like this side deck right now, which is why I tell everyone that the hand trap version is better, because like my side deck I feel is a lot more stable and it helps counter the meta more. But we'll take a look at this and go over what I think the good cards are, and talk about why I kind of chose everything. So I did go with 3 Lord of the Heavenly Prison. I think the reasoning for this is obvious because we're playing the trap variation of this deck. I thought about playing the Eldritch version, but my problem with the Eldritch version is that it's not as consistent with Burning Abyss, and it's like, okay, now I have to play multiple copies of Libic, and to me, it isn't as good as just playing a pure trap variation for BA. So like, that's my personal opinion. I think that the third best variation would probably be the Eldritch version, and then the second best variation would be the trap version, and the first would probably be the hand trap variation. And then I don't even consider the chaos version of this deck to be actually Burning Abyss, so we won't even include that. But Heavenly Prison is fantastic because obviously it stops your back row from being blown up, but additionally it does become a free body on board, which can be a huge blowout. So yeah, card's really nuts. And the other monster that we play is 3 copies of Lava Golem. This is a weird one, but I've honestly been on this for a very long time. You basically just open up Lava Golem and 2 BA names, and you just kind of win. Like, you go ahead and you attack the Lava Golem while it's in defense position with your 2 special summon BAs that become like a Dante, and then you overlay them for a Downerd and a Zeus, and then you just win the game. Like, that's that's basically how it works. And with stuff like, you know, DPE and Dragoon running around, like, you just tribute it. You tribute both of their cards, and you just cut them off. Like, it's I don't know what else to say. Card just gets rid of your opponent's board, and it can't be negated. That to me is important. It can't be negated, and if something can't be negated, it's got to be pretty darn good. Then we do play some back row removal, just 3 copies of Twin Twister. I didn't have room to fit any other back row removal in. If you want, you could cut like 1 Lava Golem for like a red reboot or something, but I think that the 3 Twister is perfectly fine. It helps trigger your BA effects in Grave, so that's also pretty nice. And being able to get rid of 2 of your opponent's cards is obviously a huge thing. Then for the going first cards, 3 copy of Dimensional Barrier and 3 copy of Anti-Spell. This is hands down, in my opinion, the best side deck stuff that you can put in BA right now. Like, I think that Barrier and Anti-Spell and the Trap variation are probably your 2 best side deck cards, followed very closely by Heavenly Prison. I think that these are just the way to go. Super strong, very high impact, cut your opponent off completely. I have won so many games off of Anti-Spell, as people know. As far as Dimensional Barrier goes, I think this card is just fantastic this format. You're going to hurt the Tenyi Sword Soul matchup. You're going to hurt Based. You're going to hurt your Despia branded matchups, all that. Like, almost every deck that's currently relevant in the meta gets hurt by this card. So yeah, that's just my thoughts and opinion on that. But that essentially brings the deck profile to a close. I think that this is a decent variation of Burning Abyss. I don't think it's the best variation. I still think the hand trap variation is the best, but I had a lot of people who are curious as to how I'm running my trap version now, and this is probably how I would run it. Like I said, if there's one thing in the main deck that I would contemplate swapping, it would be taking out the 2 breakthrough skills and putting in a 3rd Fiend Griefing and then 1 copy of Call by the Grave. But other than that, I think the deck is solid the way it is. It's not amazing going second, but it's not terrible. Like, you can still obviously beat your opponent going second with this deck, especially something like Droplet, or if you like just set a bunch of back row and pass, or you can establish a Zeus. There's a bunch of things you can do going second with this deck, and that is why it's always been so good, because going first or second, you can do a bunch of different things. However, that does wrap everything up, so I hope everyone enjoyed. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Obviously, it is significantly appreciated. We're past 1,400 subscribers now, which is awesome. That makes me so happy. And as I said in the beginning of the video too, make sure you go ahead and go to dankritual.com. Use that Drew10 promo code on the green or tan cloth playmat. You use that Drew10 promo code at checkout, and you will go ahead and get 10% off your order, and you will directly support my channel, which obviously is amazing for anyone to do, and I appreciate it so much. But for right now, this is Drew, Traveler of the Burning Abyss, signing out.